Setting goals is how we have been taught to go about getting what we want. Every single goal we have can be traced back to wanting to attain happiness in some form or another. Each of these things is a way of getting to the end goal, which is happiness. But the truth is that 92% of people never reach their goals.
92%!
Aren't getting what we really want. 92%! That's a lot! Inc. magazine says that only 8% of people actually achieve their goals. Even though there's a ton of advice, a lot of it from Inc. magazine, about how to achieve goals. 92%! So why aren't we reaching our goals? I think it's because we're setting the wrong goals. First, let's agree that there are some things that are just completely outside of our control. Even though we may want to experience something, we can't make it happen ourselves because it depends on the cooperation of other people or circumstances in the world, or even being born into something. Just as you cannot wish for more time, you also cannot wish to decide whether the sun comes up tomorrow. You can also not guarantee that your partner will love you forever. You cannot set a goal to be born into wealth and privilege. And even setting a goal of never going gray or getting old is futile. I've tried. So basically, setting goals around things that we have no control over, or at least we can't control ourselves, doesn't make any sense at all. These are dumb goals. There are other goals that are external to us as well, but what we do actually will have an impact. It makes a whole lot more sense to set goals around things that we have some ability to impact. Things like the experience of being rich, or the experience of having a great relationship, or feeling free. Even the experience of publishing a book or winning at something falls in this category of things that we have some control over. But there is a type of goal that you do have total control over. These are choices, and you are in control because you're the only one in charge of deciding whether or not you make this choice. These are internal goals. You are not dependent on other people or circumstances to achieve these goals. I consider these goals being goals because they have to do with your state of being and the choices that you make about how you want to be in the world. For instance, being the kind of person who is selective about the kind of media and information that you consume. Being someone who takes care of yourself. Being deliberate about the way you spend your free time. Who you hang out with, what you put your energy into, what you value, these are totally within your control. Even the goals you set are actually totally within your control. You can decide if you're going to go for something or not. This is the sweet spot. This is the place where you have the most impact and influence. This is the place where you want to set your goal because it has to do with your being and you're in charge of that. And my thoughts about this topic have been influenced by a book I'm reading called A Guide to the Good Life, The Ancient Art of Stoic Joy. And it's written by William Irvine. A Stoic named Epictetus says, "It is impossible that happiness and yearning for what is not yet present should ever be united." And I took that to mean that we should only want what we can have. As far as goals are concerned, this means only setting goals for things that we have control over. And this is what I find extra super interesting, is that if we make all of our goals being goals about our internal state of being, which we have total control over, we are more likely to actually reach those big external goals. And on top of that, we are more likely to be happy setting goals that we have control over, which is the goal in the first place. I have to say, I think we have made goal setting way too complicated. We've got SMART goals and time-based goals and short-term goals and performance-based goals and outcome goals and procedural goals and qualitative goals and quantitative goals. This is where I think a lot of people get stuck and very frustrated. We're making goals about things that we don't control, and they really don't seem to be taking into consideration any of the internal state of being goals that will actually help us achieve these big goals. Now, before you jump in the comments and tell me that I am aiming low or telling people to not have high aspirations by saying that we should only set goals that we have control over, let's talk about what this is not. This is not aiming low, and you certainly can't reach any goals without having aspirations. Internal state of being goals still require discipline and self-control and commitment in order to make them happen. In the book, William Irvine uses the example of setting the goal of winning a tennis match. which is one of those external goals that depends on the cooperation of other people and circumstances in order for you to achieve it. So setting a goal of winning a tennis match is futile. Just wanting it bad enough is not going to make you win. Judges make terrible line calls sometimes. The wind is a factor. And sometimes your opponent makes an amazing, ungettable shot. With something outside yourself like winning a tennis match or even publishing a book or having a great relationship, you don't have zero control. You don't have total control. It's that in-between place. So the have depends on what you do, but then I'm suggesting we kick it up to the next level and really focus on how we need to be in order to get those big goals. Here's what I mean. Setting a doing goal, for instance, keeping your eye on the ball or bending your knees or practicing your strokes, will undoubtedly make you a better tennis player. So instead of seeing yourself as a tennis player who's hoping to win a tennis match, you can set the goal of being a student of tennis. The doing would naturally come out of the being. This way, your goal, the being goal, is totally within your control, and it probably will help you win more matches. In fact, focusing on winning a tennis match may actually make it harder for you to win a tennis match because of the pressure you're putting on yourself to achieve a goal that you don't have total control over in the first place. To give you some other real life examples, this plays out in personal relationships as well, and came up in a coaching session recently where my client was learning that she doesn't have control over whether or not people love her. In fact, we can't even make people do things the way we want them to do them, like loading the dishwasher or picking their clothes up off the floor. When we try to achieve the external goal of having a loving relationship by coercing people into doing things that we consider loving acts, it actually backfires. People usually don't like that so much. You are much more likely to achieve your big external goal of having a great relationship by setting goals that have to do with your internal state of being, like being a really great listener, or being collaborative, or being open to feedback and constructive criticism. These goals that are internal to you are actually a faster, more effective, more pleasurable way of achieving the bigger goal of having a great relationship. The first way to think about this is to recognize that it's a process. Think in terms of having and doing and being. First, we want to figure out your have goal. Those are those big external goals like getting a certain job or having a beautiful garden. That's my thing. As we've talked about, these are goals that we don't have total control over. We have to actually do things to impact whether or not we achieve these goals. I take that big goal of having a beautiful garden and I create doing goals out of that. And even better, I take it to the next level, which is the internal state of being goals. In our garden example, that is being someone who wants to understand plants better and notice little details about what my plants need or what's going on with bugs or whether they're getting enough sun or water. If I am being a gardener who wants to become a better gardener and understand plants better, I will be enjoying the process rather than being in a state of frustration that my garden is not yet beautiful. If I appreciate the process, I am more likely to be happy as I am reaching for my big external goal. And here's a tip. If the process of getting to what you think will make you happy isn't enjoyable for you, I would highly recommend that you reevaluate the thing that you think will make you happy. Because any process that isn't enjoyable is not sustainable. The one thing I want you to take from this video is that we only have control over ourselves. Your internal state of being really is the only thing that you have total control over. So it is the best, most effective place to be setting your goals. So for me, honestly, it makes me feel more empowered to think that even though some of these big external goals are not totally within my control and I can do things, but still that doesn't guarantee anything, it makes me feel better to think that I can set these state of being goals that I do have total control over, and it'll give me my best shot at actually achieving those big external goals. And truly enjoying the process and being happy along the way means that you've already achieved the ultimate goal of being happy. I would love to hear in the comments how this landed with you. Did it make sense? Did it feel good to hear? Did it feel like it was missing something? Please give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down and leave me a comment. I would love to hear if you have different ideas that might be helpful to other people, or if there's something in this video that you would change or would like to see done differently. And feel free to subscribe. Thank you to everybody who's helping me grow my channel. I really appreciate that you are participating and supporting. All right, thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.